what is this camp going to be like going out there with, you've talked about how many seniors you've got in that group, all the experience you've got. What do you think camp is going to be like in that group?
Well, it's, exciting, obviously, to have all those guys returning, get everybody back healthy, keep everybody healthy, with the struggle we had last year. But I think we got a lot of leadership, and that makes it a lot of fun. Yesterday, obviously being the first day, I think everybody was a little surprised at themselves that they wasn't better than what they were. So, that's good that they know it and that you don't have to tell them. So, but I think with all those guys out there and the way that they set the tone, and they know they got to set the tone of practice, and they got to be the leaders, really, but I think of the whole football team, not just the defense. So it's exciting. There's a lot of pressure on us, and I tell them that every day to make sure that they understand that, Coach Harson's always said it always starts up front. And if you got a good defensive line and a good quarterback, you got a chance to have a good football team.
Sorry. How are you going to find playing time for all these guys?
We'll work it out. We played, if you remember in the bowl game last year, we played the 9 guys that we had to play, and I think everybody will be able to get reps. The way the offenses go now, the fast-paced offense, it helps you to have a lot of guys. The best thing that I've always said, when you got a good defensive line, you got 2 deep, that it doesn't make any difference. And I think we're fortunate enough, we'll have 2 deep plus and be able to, have an extra inside guy and extra outside guy when they're all healthy to make a big difference on this football team.
What are you going to do with Tyler and Sam? Sorry. What are you going to do with Tyler and Sam?
They're going to both play and both play a lot.
But where?
Well, we're going to start them at defensive end. Okay. They both know they got to be prepared to go inside if they need to, and either one of them can do that because they've both played there. As you guys all know, we're fortunate enough that we got enough guys inside so we can play those 2 guys outside. We have a lot of different combinations we're going to be able to use, and that's just a blessing.
Along with the depth, what are the biggest strengths of this line this year in your opinion right now?
Well, along with the depth, I think that's really the big deal, and I think the experience. Obviously, anytime you got 7 seniors there, and they've been in a lot of football games over the last 4 or 5. Some guys been around here 6 years, I guess. But I think that makes a big difference.
It's kind of an obvious question, but what does depth allow you to do up front?
I think it keeps them fresh. Like I said, we'll have a lot of different combinations, and hopefully, the further we get into the year, we'll be able to use, just like you were asking about Sam. Those guys might go inside and play sometime, and then we might use Conway and Gabe on the edge. So I think just with all of those guys and all the different combinations that we can have, it'll just help us down the road, game by game, to see what we need to do.
Is it fun for you to try to figure it out as well? I mean, I asked the other guys this too, but Coach Harson, when I asked about who's playing where, just kind of threw his hands up in the air, and he said that you're figuring that out.
Yeah, it is, and it's to find that right combination on that right Saturday afternoon or Friday night here that will be the challenge.
Kamala and Gabe are playing stud, right?
Right.
Anybody else playing stud?
Jabril and Caleb Hill.
Okay.
Jabril, I've really been excited about him. Obviously, he's very athletic, and Caleb, I think he's come back with a lot different attitude and doing better. Of course, he was a true freshman last year, both of them, so it's made a big difference getting the spring practice underneath them.
And
who are the ends?
Right now, it would be Sam and Tyler with Rondell behind them.
Okay. Everybody else kind of inside?
Right.
Okay.
You ever, in your illustrious coaching career, you ever had a situation like this where you have 3 seniors like that have done so much added back into the mix like this to go with the other
No, this is
guys?
the first time I've ever been in this situation. It's really amazing. It's a blessing this year, but it's going to be tough this time next year. I'll be hiding from all of y'all.
You brought in, Matt and Sam Whitney late in the recruiting class last year with the idea you'd gray shirt them and have guys for next year. You're able to bring them in now. How much does that help when you prepare for next year?
Well, and that's exactly the reason we did it, because, and Coach Harsh might have told you, at the last minute, Sam was still planning on gray shirting. But when Eli ended up not being able to participate, we looked at who we needed to bring in, and we sat down and talked about it. And we thought, because of this time next year, you're always trying to plan a year to 2 years out, actually, that we needed to go ahead and bring him in so he would get the experience of being here this fall and get in our weight program, be around our guys, because it'll just make him that much better, because he will have to play next year.
JT was just telling us he can bench like 500 pounds or something. Tell us about JT. What's he going to bring to the line this year?
Well, it's exciting, because we felt like going into the season last year, JT had, between he and Armand, he really had a shot of being the starter because I thought he had a fantastic spring that first year I was there. So to have him back last spring and then see what he brings to the table, he's obviously very quick, very strong, like you said, and I think it's going to be exciting having him and Nance, and we'll figure out Debo or whoever that third guy is in there. It could be Robert Ash. So we got a lot of different bodies we can play in there.
JT said that he learned kind of a relentlessness from Coach Pitt in the weight room this summer. I know we're only one practice in, but have you seen any different in terms of change of attitude or relentlessness, I guess?
Well, I think it brings relentless. It brings confidence because I think they are a stronger group than they have been in the past. Obviously, a year maturity, another year with Pitt. I think that makes a big difference. It's hard to tell, like you said, how much difference it's going to make. We'll find out a lot more about that tomorrow when we put shoulder pads on.
We're trying to decide if Deuce is a myth or if he's a real person. We've never really seen him.
Yeah.
What is he? Why is it that people speak so highly of him, and what do you expect out of him this year?
Well, I think just what we saw a year ago in the spring and what he brought to the table last fall. When you look at those guys we sent down there to help go against our offense last year with Deuce down there, I mean, they're probably not. Our offensive line's not going to play against many guys much better than what Deuce, the looks that he gave them last year on the scout team, and he was very impressive just as a player. So to get him out there and him to be healthy, that's just it's exciting. I'm waiting to see him get in the game, just like you, see what happens. But we'll see on September the 4th.
He with the layoff he had and everything he had to deal with, how have you seen him kind of deal with that and not be able to play for over 2 years now, I guess, to not get on the field?
Well, I think it's really been tough. He's a very mature young man. I guess he'll be 28 his birthday, so I don't know how you call him that young. But, yeah, he's mature, and he's been able to handle it very well. I know it's been tough on him. And really, to be honest with you, he's a little bit mentally as far as all the reps, knowing the defense the way everybody else knows it because he has been down on the scout team these last couple of years. But he'll catch up quick.
I know you were going to push Kamale through the offseason to not rest on what he did last year. How's he kind of attacked this offseason?
Well, I think he had a great offseason. I think he's made a big difference. Now we got to just carry it to the field, and it's hard to tell after one day. We'll find out how much he's grown up, and he knows he's got to grow up, and still has a lot of things that he can do better and be more consistent than he was in the fall. He's got a tremendous ability. It's up to me to get it out of him.
You mentioned consistency. There's a lot of talk about that with him last year. Is that really the main thing, just getting him to bring that same level every game?
Yes, I think so. I think not just with him, with a lot of our guys. Don't be complacent. Just because we give up 50 yards one game, then we turn around and give up 500 another game. We can't have that, right?
Speaking of September 4th, what have you seen from the Washington offensive line and playing with them last year?
I've watched them a little bit this summer, but to be honest with you, right now, that's the least of my worries. I want to get these guys ready to go.
Our coach said that, or Hart said Armand's obviously going to be out for the first part of fall camp. What does he bring to the defense? And quite frankly, is it an opportunity for somebody to kind of fill in right now in his shoes?
Armand's probably the best leader that I have in that room. And it really, I didn't know how big a leader he was until toward the end of the year last year when we might be struggling a little bit, and he'd be the guy that picked everything up. And he's kind of the cheerleader, the voice of all of us. Sometimes he talks when I don't want him to, but he brings us. There's a special thing that he's got that kind of brings, I think, the whole group together. Not just the D-line, but I think the whole football team.
You got to go ahead.
I was going to switch over to one back to Kamale real quick. How important was it for him to have that stretch of football at the end of the season last year so he can realize when he does turn it on and when he plays consistently what he can bring to the table?
Well, I think anytime you're having success, that helps you. And so he was able to have success last year. And the thing that we got to just make sure, again, is that he grows on that and it doesn't stay the same.